Hi, good evening.
Hey, hey, welcome. So nice to be here. So nice
Nice
to
to meet
share a
you.
stage with you.
Yeah, we're on the same time zone right now, in the same time zone, right?
Yeah,
Here,
broadcasting from Italy,
that's very
a beautiful
cool.
place.
That is very, very cool.
So
Hmm.
let's say welcome to CEOs, leaders, company founders who joining us live or after that in the recording. And
Welcome.
let's get some value and some valuable discussions.
That would be great. Thank you. So just like a quick reminder what we're going to be speaking about today before we start. Let me just introduce us. I'm Dina Goldman Altura. I own a company. The name is Business Boss, and what we do is growth marketing, strategic consultant, and we basically help figure out what keeps businesses from growing and helping them out to get, to their full potential, to basically tap it and get wherever they need to get. Would you like to introduce
Pleasure
yourself?
to stay. Yeah, pleasure to be here. Josef Lapko, Strategic Connective Solution, focusing on strategical consulting, CEOs, founders, startup companies, nonprofits, VCs globally. And here we are.
Here we
So
are.
what are we going to jump today?
So I think we should talk about what we were what we were advertising for the last week. What do you think? Um, we want to speak today with you about the CEO isolation. Basically, leaders a lot of times feel isolation. They feel a little bit alone up there, and we want to discuss this with you today and just, open the cards and speak about why it happens, and maybe it's okay, maybe it's fine, to be a little bit isolated from everybody else, and maybe it can create problems or damages. And in general, these topics are important, and they're important for any business owner who wants to improve, who wants to grow their business, and wants to enjoy doing what they do.
So
Take it
let's
away.
talk statistics.
Yeah.
A Harvard published 2 years ago our amazing article that basically emphasized that more than 60% of CEO they feel in certain time isolated, and this is extremely impacting their performance of themselves and the performance of their company. But let's talk a little bit about the cause, about symptoms. Let's add some maybe solutions from our little corner. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's what I actually want to do today. I want to speak a little more about what causing it, but the main point here is to give you guys some value back, help you figure out how you can grow your business, how you can stop feeling isolated in case you do, or just improve your managerial style. All of this is what we're going to be speaking about today. Let's do it.
Story time. Yeah, I
Okay.
think it's a story time.
I think it is story time. So I'm going to start from like a very famous quote that somebody told me it's actually not a real quote of Napoleon, but I don't care because I already decided that's what he said. And he said, if you want a thing done well, do it yourself. You probably heard it, right? Like it's a very, very famous quote or misquote, whatever it is. And basically, like my first question was like, what's wrong with it? I find myself saying this to myself a lot of times, especially after like, I clean up the house and my husband didn't do it and my kids weren't listening to me, or sometimes I ask something from people that work with me, and at some point I'm just saying, oh my God, it would have been so much faster just to just do it myself. I would definitely, I'm definitely all for it and taking responsibility. But you asked me for a story, so I'm going to tell you a story because I actually met Napoleon. You don't know that about me. Well, it wasn't the real Napoleon. But it was a woman who's a CEO of an organization, and I worked with her briefly. She is the head of a very important, very impactful organization. And I think, why am I calling her Napoleon? First of all, I think she's great. I think she is so intelligent, and she's the goals she put there and achieved the goals, like it's incredible. But when I started working with her, she was already completely exhausted. And she told me, Dina, look, my problem is that I have to do everything myself. I mean, I have people that work for me. I have people who work for me, but they don't do their job properly. And I said to her, okay, I respected that. But then I also interviewed some of the people working for her. And they said, as you can guess, exactly the opposite. They're saying, we want to work. We want to do our thing, but we have a problem with the managerial style. We have a problem with the micromanaging. So who's right over here and how to fix it? Because this company, this organization has and had so much potential when I was working with them, but I didn't manage to untangle this thing because there were a lot of things involved that weren't only, technical organizational problems or skills. It was more about how she perceived her job and how she perceived her responsibilities and the difficulty of actually letting go. So this is my little short story, and I'm wondering if you have any stories of your own to relate to that. Did you hear of anything?
Yeah, I think the job of CEO and a company leader is one of the most challenging job on earth, and that's why CEOs changing their positions so often is like open a restaurant almost. But I think it's really depends on the stage of the company. If we're talking about the early stage of a company, then if you're a founder that you're wearing so many hats in the same time, you are the babysitter of your employees, and the same time you are accounting and a graphic and a IT, and you've been pulled to so many directions at the same time, and you wish that things will happen so much faster and so much bigger. And as you come, things become much more complex and more expensive. God, everything is so expensive. That's the reaction I'm getting so often. And as you're getting laid on uh, in your company, then it's a completely different thing. Then you start like everything is on my shoulders. You, like you said, you're starting to think that you need to do everything by yourself, and sometimes it's just easier to do it instead of mentor others. And that's the real challenge of growing. You have to let it go and hire the right people for the right tasks. And I like that part. And let other people do what they need to do.
Well, I'm really connecting to what you're saying, and it is actually, I think, one of the symptoms of growing. When I'm reaching this point that I feel I cannot continue doing this on my own. I mean, if I want to keep my sanity, if I want to keep some of my strength, I'll either stop growing because I just cannot go any further because I'm one person, or I will have to rearrange the way I'm working, rearrange, maybe hire other people if I find the people that work with me maybe not, cut up for the position. But regardless, there is a limit to us. And I think acknowledging this limit is not saying that we're weak. It's actually saying that we are very strong. We have much larger view, a big vision, and we're ready to grow. I want to share something very cool I actually read the other day. I'm a big fan of the moving pictures. I'm a big fan of the movies from childhood, basically. Then I studied it, and I'm a producer. I was a producer for a while, but my favorite directors are Steven Spielberg, James Cameron, George Lucas, and Brian De Palma. Like, I love these guys. I watch their movies and I rewatch their movies, and I was so surprised to find out that we're actually friends. They're good friends. They created a network group, if at the beginning of their careers. And I was surprised that George Lucas famously did Star Wars, and he had a problem at the beginning because they had a screening and people told him, look, the people in the group said, look, it's too confusing. Like, it's really hard to follow all the politics, all the information. What can you do? And they thought about it. And then from what I heard Steven Spielberg offered, he said, look, maybe just write some text, at the beginning, just give information in text and give the people the context so they understand, what they're dealing with. And this is how the beginning started, the beginning that everybody knows, with the font, the L font going inside space and giving you the history of like thousands of years in 1 minute. But it's just a cool story because they did this together, and we always tend to think that because they are such great names, they probably worked on their own. This is the Hollywood story, right? Somebody was very, very talented, really cool, very amazing, and then they went ahead and did it. But there's this part in between that they understood they cannot do it alone, and they always had people around them. And I really liked
That
hearing it.
thanks. There's dozens of examples of, from Elon Musk on Tesla and how the team worked together and how he doesn't sleep or stays to sleep in the couch in the team group, or how he created SpaceX, or Howard Schultz, the previous CEO of Starbucks, how he came and found Starbucks as a broken company. And the one of the first thing he did is create the real board and real group of people around him to make it happen. In fact, we are in the middle of July. There's a famous gathering that's happening right now in Idaho in
Oh,
US. It's called the Sun Valley Conference. It's actually a very closed conference. Press only allowed to be like in the first few hours just before people get in. We took a conference of all the big names. I think this year Joe Biden couldn't make it, but from Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, and so on, all the big names, people who we know about them and seeing every day and using their technology or any invasion. This is where they come together with their wives, with their family members, and it's a closed event, and that's where people really playing a role together as a group. And rumors saying that the biggest invasion, the biggest collaboration between WhatsApp and Meta and other collaboration that happen in tech and that affects billions of people and billions of dollars, really starting or happening in this environment, an environment of a group of leadership coming together, exchanging ideas from different industries, exchanging ideas from different topics, sniffing each other, feeling each other, have this environment of really creating right business together. And
just
that's the way to do it.
this is the way to do it. I just want to stop because we have somebody who joined in. Hello, Avram. Good evening.
Hey, how are you?
Good. It's
Hey,
nice to have
welcome
you
in.
here. Thank you so much for being for joining us. We had
Am
a
I the
little.
only one here?
Yep, you are. It's just us and you, and you're recorded. We're going to post it, so now you cannot leave.
Oh my.
So how about you stay for a few minutes? If you don't have to, it's okay. We're not going to make anything about it, but it's it's nice to have you over here. We are talking about business isolation, and hi.
Hey,
Okay, so I think we're just going to continue, and we're actually we got to a place where we want to give some tips, I think, right? That's what we wanted to talk about. But
Can we
maybe
put Avram on the
start
spot?
the
Do you want
challenge.
to put Avram on the spot?
What? Okay, go ahead.
Av-
You
uh,
tell 'em.
Avram, we don't know each other yet, but do you want to be on the spot, or is
I'm
that
already
okay?
on the spot. It's like, yeah, okay, go for it.
So what is your biggest challenge?
Yeah, that is a tough spot. I can't really say about challenges, right? I mean, I always feel like I'm in a perfect place. I guess it's just a mindset. Um, I'm gonna have to think about that. And if I have something before the end of the session, then I'll I'll let you know. Right? I don't Nothing comes to
Awesome.
mind right now.
Okay, we're
Okay,
not.
awesome.
Thanks so much for
Sure.
answering. Okay, so we're let's talk a little more about I think about the challenges and how we can
Yeah.
overcome because we discussed I don't know if we discussed it enough, but basically what happens to us when we feel this way, when we feel isolated, when we feel that we need to do everything on our own. I think I gave you like an example with a story beforehand. I told a story about a business owner who is actually modern Napoleon that has to do everything on her own. But can you like Joseph, can you help me out a little bit? Like what really happens within our organization when the CEO is just not able to delegate properly, and what are we going to see? What are the symptoms?
So some CEOs, as soon as they creating idea and they really wearing the hat of the visionary, they have a bunch of idea. They coming every day with new idea. I'm sure you all saw this type of people, and people down below, or the people he's hiring below, not really understanding all the way through his vision. And as soon as they did understand the vision, they cannot really follow along because be changing the mission every day. The mission statement is changing constantly, or he comes with a new idea. So to define what's actionable. So what should I do? Like it's our kids. It's like, okay, daddy, mommy, you have like a lot of throwing ideas, but what do you really want us to do? So the disconnections in the big corp, we have a lot of layers. So everything become as a procedure, as a process, as a very dictated pieces with bunch of papers and protocols and bunch of Slack channels. But in the small group, it's sometimes very hard to understand what's my measurables. What will be called winning? What is my winning for today? What is my winning for the week? What is my winning for the month, year, etc.? Maybe the CEO doesn't really understand what is the winning because it's changing and evolving as we go, because we still don't know. It's like we're digging inside a tunnel. We don't know what we're going to face. So the challenge is as we go and as we grow, especially in the startup situation, to define and help ourselves as a CEO and founder and a leader to create the right support so we can adapt and change quickly, recognize quickly, and be very clear and measured to our people who surround ourselves. I think you mentioned that before we recorded, but hire the right people for the right thing and be very clear about what you're asking them.
Yeah, so this is actually the things that I want to talk about now, because we spoke before and also about a few other problems, Avram. We spoke about basically paralysis that can happen to a business, because on one hand, the business always wants to grow and evolve, but on the other hand, there's a limit to how much micromanaging approach can take. So that's just another example. And basically, there's also when a CEO is feeling alone, and it can get very, very lonely out there. So there's also some kind of effect. Like if I feel like I'm by myself and I have to take all the responsibility and I have to make all the decisions on my own, it's just, I don't know, I would not use the word fun here because it's definitely not fun, but it's hard to maintain this kind of position for long and push forward all the time just by myself without having a support group. The cheerleaders who stand in the back and tell me, yes, you're doing it correctly, or no, wait up, but here's the way to do it. So I think I want to share with our viewers today some tips, some ideas that we came up with. Maybe afterwards, Avram, maybe you could also share. I don't know. I don't want to put you on the spot. You don't have to, only if you have. But right now, I'm just going to share some ideas. What we can do to make a change in the way we experience isolation as business owners, as CEOs, as founders. So the first thing I want to share with you is basically building a support network around me. It can be peers, it can be mentors, it can be groups, forums. It can really be anything that helps you grow. It's sometimes enough just to find a few good friends that are more or less doing the same thing, or even people I work with, like people who are even under me but are really helping me grow and helping me figure out ideas. So maybe once a week we can meet up and just have a brainstorming session. Another thing I want to share is basically create some kind of an open communication with my team, because a lot of times I feel the need to micromanage, because a lot of times there's just some problems in the communication. I think Joseph in a minute will speak more about that, so I don't want to overstep here.
I just want to say, if you have an open door policy, it doesn't mean you have an open door policy, right? It doesn't fix the problem. Have a real conversation with your people. Make them understand you. Get to know them.
It's very important. I think also something we mentioned in a different conversation between us, but we spoke about vision and how I'm absolutely sure as a CEO that my vision is so clear and so understood and so, and everybody are excited about it just as I am. But then when you speak to other people that work for the company, they don't know what your vision is. They do not know even what it is, or they don't feel the same way. This is just the number one miscommunication that I see in companies like that. So it's just like another thing to maybe think about. One extra topic I want to discuss is recognizing the existing network we have. So we need to understand who are the people around us, and more importantly, what what we can ask from them, how they can really help us. Because a lot of times I can go to the person that has very good connections in a specific industry and just ask him something that will just give him it's going to be a yes or no question. And you will answer no because I asked the wrong question, not because it cannot help me. A lot of people also I hear they're saying, okay, I once asked my friend and they never got back to me. Or I once, I'm people read my posts on LinkedIn, so obviously they know I need help with advertising. So if they don't approach me on their own, that means they don't care. I hear all these things. So no, people do need you to spell it out for them. They do need to understand how they can help you. And by the way, the people that around you, your friends, your family, your professional network, your colleagues, a lot of these people really, they're rooting for you. They want your success. So you need to just help them out, to think by yourself, okay, how this person can help me. Approach them, ask them for help, ask them for specific, can you create this contact for me? Can you help me out figure, I don't know, something technical, like how do you connect to LinkedIn on live, and which I did not manage to do today. But my
I want to
does.
say just, Dina, I want to say that also make it easy for them. For example, a lot of people sending me their, their VC, their contact information. I'm looking for a job. They send me a WhatsApp message, then a text message, then a email about it. Like, we all have a very busy schedule. So just make it easy on me. What I mean by that is just an example. Send me an email that I can easily forward with the attachment, with everything else. Then it's going to be a 1 minute instead of a 1 hour, me putting together all the things. The chances that I will do the referral with a very easy, specific task be much better than just trying to do the work for you. So just think about a few steps ahead, how to make it easy on the other person to help you.
Help them to help you. This is great tip. Thanks. And take it away from here. Do you have any other tips for us?
I think delegating, it's a big thing that which we need to start from day one. CEO, to be CEO is easy. You go to Vistaprint and you print a business card, but learning how to delegate from day one to create more time to clear whatever is not making time for us, push it away. Start hiring, if it's a personal assistant for 2 hours, 1 hour, utilize technology as much as you can. AI. Use AI in any way, in any possibility you can to clear time, so you will be at the best performance of what you are the best of. So if you know how to strategize, be a strategical person. Don't be IT person. Try to delegate first to technology, then to people. Be very clear about what you ask and what's the results you're trying to make, and be cautious and let it grow. That's crucial.
Sure. I agree.
I also want to think that and mention, industry events. I think, there's a lot of events and sometimes it's overwhelming. But as soon as you're being very critique about yourself and what you're looking, make sure you put yourself in this event. Being out there, start early, finish. That's the magic that happens. If you are in this events, both online and both in person, that's where the magic happens. So if you are a player in your industry, be there. Don't just say I'm a player and don't show up.
A lot of people are a little intimidated from these events, and I'm not talking only about, being socially awkward, or it's also challenging to some, but what I'm speaking about is knowing how to present myself over there. Basically, this is one of the challenges, but it's also one of the greatest things in these conventions, because I have to have an elevator pitch. I can't just go in there and say, "Hi, I'm Dina, and I know what I'm doing." Like, I have to figure out who I am, for at least for that day. And when I do, when it's a necessity, it's something that maybe I did not have to do when I was just working with myself and just the secretary and a few clients that I have. This actually makes me look at myself through, like, a bigger prism, and understand how other people perceive me and think about it for a little bit. So I think a lot of positive things can come out of that, not only by meeting people, but also me basically presenting myself to other people and not just staying in my usual sweet spot that is, between four walls so the world doesn't bother me.
Agree and crucial. And I think it's build up. The first event you're gonna go, yes, you're gonna be shy, yes, you're gonna be in the corner, but ask for feedback, practice, record yourself, do your pitch elevator, as you said, do it in front of a mirror, approach people, go there, say good morning, good morning, good morning, be very clear about what you're doing, and you're going to get better and better. And the third, fourth, fifth event, you're going to meet the master of the art, you're going to know how to use your time, you're going to do the extra lunches and evening events after, and that's where the magic happens. I can speak about personally, that's the best time that I have in all over industries is in the events, and choose them wisely because they are expensive.
Yep. No, not all of them. I guess depends where you're coming from. You're speaking about United States. I'm here from Israel, so it's not as expensive, but you can also find very expensive events. That is true. Avram, I know we put you on the spot before. I apologize, but now, do you have like any tip that maybe you want to share regarding this topic? How to basically help business owners to, feel less isolated? Maybe something from your experience from the past.
Yeah, so I was kind of connecting with a few points that you guys were making about socializing at events. I work remotely, and I'm sure many people work remotely especially these days, post-COVID era. I actually started working remotely even before, but I always found that finding these events and hopping onto these LinkedIn lives whenever I can, even just as just listening in, I found it very helpful in terms from the social aspect to kind of take away that feeling of being alone. Reaching out to connections when you build up a relationship on LinkedIn, take that to the next stage, even if it's in direct messages, somebody who you can relate to in your industry. I found that very helpful as well. And there was one other point just slipped my mind because you put me on the spot, which is fine. And that's going to come back to me in a minute. There was another tip you were talking about ways of asking people for advice, so to speak, or getting feedback from people. And I found that I had two examples in the recent months where one person came to me and asked me a question that in order for me to answer that question, it would require me to really spend an hour just explaining and going into that rabbit hole. And somebody else in a similar situation, not too long before or after, asked me a question in a way that was very concise, very specific, and I was able to answer a yes or no. If you're asking for somebody for advice, I think it's important to know the right person that you're asking it to, and frame it in such a way that's going to make it easier for the person, voice notes, build it out in such a way that if the person does not have the time to get into it, make it fun for the person to answer. The person can give you the right feedback quickly, and then obviously if they both have the time, if the person feels good about that, then it'll automatically lead to future kind of a relationship and the person giving you more time. So.
It's a very important tip. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
By the way, if you think about psychologically, it's called putting, I hope I'm translating it correctly into English, but putting my foot in the door. Meaning that, if I come and ask you for like something very big, very large, right? So you say, no, I cannot give you 8 hours now. Are you kidding me? But if I ask just for like a small tip and I make it very easy, there are a lot more chances I'll be able to create some kind of a relationship later on. And it's just, I think it's very important. Thank you so much. Great tips. Great tips. Okay, so I want just for a few minutes to speak a little bit about also a project that Josef and I are developing together, and you're welcome to stay tuned, and then we'll summarize the whole thing we just did. We are creating together a leadership group. We call it Dream Ignite because I don't know, I guess at least I am, and I think Josef also agrees with me. We really believe that there is a big, strong connection between the way we envision ourselves and our business and what happens at the end. Like there's this bridge that we have to cross, and a lot of times sometimes something happens in between. Something gets confused in there. And at least my life mission is to help businesses understand what went wrong over there and how they can get back on that bridge and figure it out. And I'm sure Josef is also working on working with businesses on something similar. So I want to just talk for a couple of minutes about this group. Basically, what we're going to do 3 things in the group. We are planning on meeting once a week and share experiences. Every time we will discuss a different topic, just like we did today, but a little different, a little deeper. We will have people who are basically coming from different companies, different different countries, but they are sharing similar challenges when it comes to growing their business, when it comes to working together. We want to give them advice. We want to help them grow. And this is basically, I guess, an accelerator without actually coming physically and being there. It's an online group. Joseph, would you like to add a few words, tell our viewers a little more about,
Sure.
in short?
Sure. So as a vision and as people working with in the people business, I think it's become more and more important and clear that we need great people around us. We need people who will challenge us. We need people who working in different industries. We need people who understanding global markets, and being surrounded by trusted people who we can know and trust really can accelerate my business personally and others people business and create new opportunities from the group. So that's the vision. Create a group for the people who are not ready yet for 5-10K a month for a personal trainer and personal coach, but want to be part of a closed group, want to be have a ticket in the circle table, meet people from all over the world, have a guest speakers, and that's what we envisioning to create.
Yep. Well, actually, already have a few guest speakers. We booked a few guest speakers. We're very excited about them. People really top notch from their industries. Thanks so much for helping me. So I think let's summarize. And also, we want to invite whoever is interested to hear more about the group that we are developing. It will probably be opening in the next few weeks to a month. So you can contact us. We'll leave all the information, and we're inviting you to have a short video conversation with Joseph and I and just discuss your vision, your dreams, and what you need right now to see if this group is actually what you need. Thank you very much. Joseph, would you like to summarize a little bit what we did today before we finish?
Sure. Don't be isolated. Don't be alone. Be part of a group. Accelerate your network. Be very precise about what you're trying to do. Use your network. Delegate as much as you can, and dream big and execute big.
Dream big, I think. I want to finish with that. Dream big. Don't be afraid of dreaming big. And yeah, thank you very much. Aram, thank you for joining us. This was very, very cool to have you over here.
My pleasure.
And yeah, stay tuned for next time. We are planning on doing more of these lives. Thanks. See you around.
All the best.